Today we are looking at reading number 3 in the Resurrection of Jesus series. Today we're going to be talking about the wrong tomb. You're really going to enjoy this session since it presents one of the major reasons why several of the alternatives to the resurrection can't be true. We already know that no one would die for a lie, but in this lesson we reveal the other big common sense reason which points us towards our conclusion that Jesus was resurrected. Welcome to Tested as Trained, where our goal is to present Scripture and the evidence for Christianity in a way that destroys arguments and pretensions of every kind that sets itself up against the knowledge of God in order to keep our kids in the faith. The purpose of this video is to guide your preparation for this lesson. You will have the correct answers to the questions, learn the key ideas, and gain some ideas for engaging your students in the discussion. The key takeaway for today: if the women went to the wrong tomb, then Jesus was still in the correct tomb, and the Jewish leaders would have brought his body out to show that he was not resurrected. Let's look at the questions now. Question number 1, the women who found the tomb empty were actually at the wrong tomb. The answer to that is false. Number 2, Peter followed shortly after the women and went to the correct tomb, which was still sealed. Of course, that is false. These questions, of course, are playing on the assumption and trying to point out the fallacies in the alternative that the women went to the wrong tomb. Number 3, if Jesus was still in the tomb, the Jewish leaders would have brought his body out to show that he was not resurrected. True. Number 4, after the tomb was found empty, the disciples claimed to have seen Jesus in bodily form. True. So that's one of the accepted facts, and everybody will acknowledge it, and that is that they're not going to claim that these post-resurrection sightings were real, but they will accept as truth that the disciples claimed to have seen Jesus in bodily form. Possible exercises and examples. In each of these scenarios, as I mentioned in the first one, is I like to have the students put on an ad hoc play, or at least take on roles that illustrate the events that would have taken place if the scenario were correct. The play gives us the opportunity to see where everyone was or would have been, and we can pause action to have the students reveal what they, as their characters, would be thinking at each time. This allows us to bring in common sense into the equation. The reasonable thoughts of reasonable people and the actions of people if certain events had happened give us a clear insight in what would have happened in each alternative. If you're going to do a presentation at the end of the entire series, just remember to remind your students that they will be presenting the lessons to their parents and a prominent person in the church after the series is completed. As you're engaging your students, remember to use current events or relate things that are happening in your community or in the lives of your kids to make these lessons real. Ask a bunch of questions. In the next session, we are going to cover the possibility that it was not Jesus, but rather a different person, a substitute that died on the cross and was buried. Remember to respect your kids' intellect. Test their knowledge of Scripture and the evidence that supports the claims of Scripture, and you are training them to impact the world for Christ. I speak and train extensively on the topic of properly training our youth, and I'm happy to consider engaging with your organization too. Please send an email to me at q@bracebarber.com if you have any requests, questions, comments, critiques, or ideas. Have a blessed day.